The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman. Well, good afternoon. It's another great Monday afternoon, and welcome to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you'd like to join the show, you can also hit me up on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Send me an email at blackfocusradio@gmail.com. I will certainly respond to you. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Don't forget our march to 1,000 subscribers. So be sure to go out and like, share, and most importantly, subscribe so we can get up to that 1K. Need your help on this. I'd like to say before the end of May, I want to get 1,000 subscribers. So tell a friend to tell another friend to tell another friend to go. And look, let me be honest with you. Don't just go out there and subscribe because I tell you to. Listen to the show. I think you'll like it. I certainly know you'll get a lot of information from it. That way you can go and say, hey, look, man, y'all need to go listen to that Dynamic Dave guy, man, because he's spitting straight dope. Yeah. We got a lot of stuff to talk to you about today, man. More on this Karmelo Anthony thing. It just doesn't seem to go away. And this white outrage, oh man, y'all looking bad. Y'all are just looking bad. It's pretty clear to most of us why you mad. Now look, well, we'll get into all of that later on, but Karmelo Anthony, we got some more stuff on that. And I got some prima facie evidence to show you this, what a joke these people are. Also, I'm going to talk a little bit, and many of you all, obviously I'm in the DMV area. A lot of you all that are listening to the show or are new to the show, and I understand I do have some new listeners today. You may not know much about Little Rock, Arkansas or Conway, Arkansas, but I gotta fall in on this, man. You know, because something happened last week in Conway, Arkansas, and everybody that is black ought to be appalled. And some of the videos that I saw, I'm going to elaborate on those here in just a little bit. So y'all stick and stay for that. Shooter at Florida State University. Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. He was a white supremacist. And you might say, well, how do you know that, Dave? I'll give you that information later on as well. Because, yeah, he was a white supremacist. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay? Trump and FEMA. Oh, poor red states. What is your boy Trump doing to you in FEMA? Yeah, we'll talk about that. We're going to try to get to all of this stuff here. Oh, the Target CEO asked to meet with Al Sharpton. You say boycotts don't work? We're going to talk a little bit more about that and what we must do later on in the show. And, wow, that's the show, man. A lot of stuff, man. A lot of serious stuff. I'm going to try to give you some background. For those of you who are new to the show, look, I would advise you to go back and listen to some of the old shows so you can get a little tenor of what I do here. But it's Black Focus Radio, baby. That's what it's all about. Also, every show we do what is called Black Facts, okay? And today is no different. You know, someone asked me, well, let me take this. I posted something about King Leopold the other day. And I will tell you that the impetus came from Jamal Bryant. You all know the pastor out of Atlanta. And he was talking about Hitler and King Leopold and how he was doing some interview. I think he has a podcast now. And everybody and their mama got a podcast. Your mama got a podcast yet? If she don't, and get grandma on there too. Grandma, get on here. We gonna have a podcast. What y'all gonna talk about? We ain't gonna talk about cooking beans and greens and cornbread. Let me stop. But he was on a podcast and he brought up King Leopold. And this is another classic example of why they continue to hide. They don't want history to be told. They just don't, man. They really don't. So it's important for us to go ahead and make sure. This is why I've been telling everybody, if you are in a black church and your black church is not teaching black history, every Sunday, somebody needs to get up in the pulpit, whether it's the preacher, whether it's the youth department, whether it's the women's department, the men's department, I don't care, the choir. Somebody need to make a black history fact. And I'm not just talking about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. When you go back and you look at all the stuff that we've created that makes this world tick, then it's time for people to know, because these white people are being misled. But anyway, I'm sorry. I was about to go into my own personal black fact. But this black fact is about King Leopold. So I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. And it's long overdue.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
His son was born with a chilling deformity, one that mirrored Leopold's most horrific crimes. In Belgium, King Leopold II was hailed as the Builder King for the building projects he commissioned. But overseas in the Congo Free State lay the horrific truth. Leopold was a butcher. The French Revolution had impacts far beyond Paris. As the guillotines rolled into the Place de la Concorde, Leopold II's grandfather had to run for his life, fleeing to the United Kingdom before dying 2 years later. Leopold's mother, Louise of Orleans, always considered sensitive and fragile, was devastated and followed him to the grave later that same year. The teenage Leopold II was losing family left and right, but then he found someone to mend his broken heart. 3 years after his mother's death, he married Marie Henriette of Austria. Much like Leopold, the people of Belgium fell in love with Henriette for her lively and energetic personality and benevolent disposition. She seemed to be everything that Leopold II was not. His official public career started in 1855 as a senator, and as the heir apparent to the monarchy, he didn't waste any time voicing his opinions, no matter how controversial they were. He became a vocal advocate for expanding Belgium's colonial holdings, touring regions in Asia and Africa looking for prospects. On December 10th, 1865, King Leopold I died, and 1 week later, his son, Leopold II, took his oath of office and became King of the Belgians. Despite the horrors he would unleash on the Congolese people, at home in Belgium, Leopold was actually a progressive figure. Some of his biggest legislative accomplishments included massive social reforms. He even gave workers the right to form unions. He passed a series of child labour laws that protected Belgium's youth from exploitation, and even instituted something of a weekend, giving workers Sundays off. Grimly ironic, given what he was about to do in the Congo Free State. Part of Leopold II's grand vision included a vast, sprawling overseas empire made up of cash-rich colonies. But his actions betrayed his true intentions. He only seemed interested in acquiring colonies for himself as a private citizen, using money from the government. At first, he set his sights on the Philippines. He believed that Queen Isabella II of Spain, the incumbent colonial power in the Philippines, was weak, and therefore eager to sell off her holdings. However, his ambassador, sensing the offence it would cause, never relayed his offer. When Isabella II lost her crown in 1868, Leopold made another move to buy the Philippines. There was just one problem: he couldn't afford it. He tried to devise a plan that would have made the Philippines into an independent state, meaning that a private citizen could purchase it. When that plan was unsuccessful, he set his greedy sights somewhere else: Africa. For the better part of a decade, Leopold worked in vain to acquire colonies throughout Africa and Asia, but by 1876 it was plainly obvious that he would have to change his strategy. He established an international scientific and philanthropic association called the International African Society. In reality, it was no charitable organisation. It was a private holding company, owned by him. He then hired the services of the explorer Henry Morton Stanley and set him off in the direction of the Congo to establish a colony. With some clever diplomacy, Leopold managed to get most of Europe and the United States to recognise him as this newly claimed territory's sovereign. At the conclusion of the Berlin Conference in 1885, Leopold finally realised his ambition. Belgium had just become a huge colonial power. The newly minted Congo Free State was nearly 80 times larger than Belgium itself. And Leopold had it all to himself, to rule over with his private army, the dreaded Force Publique. The first of the Congo's natural resources to be exploited was ivory. Although highly lucrative, Leopold wasn't satisfied. It wasn't bringing in enough money to fund his grand ambitions in Belgium. But then a sudden and sharp increase in the demand for rubber changed everything. The Congo Free State had plenty of natural resources that Leopold could harvest for his personal and political gain, and rubber had the potential to be the most lucrative. But harvesting the sap from rubber plants required hours upon hours of grueling labour. Back at home in Belgium, Leopold continued to champion the rights of common labourers. However, all the way down in the Congo Free State, he adopted a very different policy. With his new need for cheap and plentiful labour, Leopold jettisoned his obligations from the Berlin Conference and dropped all pretense of running a charitable organisation. What ensued was pure horror. Having shut out much of the outside world, Leopold was free to do as he pleased in the Congo Free State. Using his Force Publique, he forced the native population to work, collecting sap to make rubber, which he then sold for exorbitant prices. The people of the Congo Free State never saw a penny, but they did see something else. Suffice to say, the people didn't willingly go to work for Leopold, so he had to adopt some horrifying tactics of coercion. Beatings, mass and indiscriminate executions, and brutal mutilations. To ensure compliance amongst even the most independent-minded Congolese people, the Force Publique abducted the families of rubber workers. This infamous photograph shows a grieving Congolese man. In front of him, the severed hand and foot of his 5-year-old daughter. Failure to meet rubber collection quotas was punishable by death, and the Force Publique had to provide the severed hand of their victim as proof. Sometimes these victims would survive being shot and pretend to be dead as their hand was cut off. The baskets of severed hands set down at the feet of the European post commanders became the symbol of the Congo Free State. The collection of hands became an end in itself. Force public soldiers brought them to the stations in place of rubber. They even went out to harvest them instead of rubber. They became a sort of currency. When the English missionary John Harris visited the Congo Free State, he couldn't find the words to describe the horrors he had witnessed. I have just returned from a journey inland to the village of Nsongo Mboyo. The abject misery and utter abandon is positively indescribable. Despite a quiet but growing chorus of protestations and condemnations, Leopold continued his reign of misery. The author, historian and journalist Adam Hochschild was the first to provide a proper estimate of the devastating effects of Leopold's reign. Using estimates from Belgium's own census, he put the cost of Leopold's cruel policies into stark focus. 10 million lives lost, around half of the entire population. The barbaric treatment of the Congolese was bad enough, but the secondary and tertiary consequences of willful neglect and malice were even worse. Diseases such as smallpox and sleeping sickness swept through the Congo Free State and claimed millions of lives. It was always only a matter of time before karma caught up with Leopold II, and in 1902 it finally did. When the British novelist Joseph Conrad toured the Congo as a steamer captain, he was so moved by the plight of the people that he changed the course of history. His 1902 novella Heart of Darkness gave the world a first-person glimpse into the atrocities being committed due to European colonialism in Africa. With the book gripping readers all over the world and pressure mounting on Leopold, he decided to counter his bad press with good press. He paid the author Mary French Sheldon to tour the Congo Free State, ensuring that she only saw what he wanted her to see. Upon her return to England, she wrote, "I have witnessed more atrocities in London streets than I have ever seen in the Congo." By 1908, even Leopold's Belgian subjects had grown sick of his atrocities. After facing political opposition, he was forced to sell the Congo Free State to the Belgian people. Of course, he made sure that he was paid handsomely. With the shame of the Congo Free State falling equally on Belgium as on Leopold II, the Belgian people had no choice but to buy the troubled colony from their corrupt king. In total, they forked over 215 million francs. A staggering 50 million went to Leopold personally, with another 45 million going towards his domestic building projects. Leopold II might have been a butcher in the Congo, but at home in Belgium he was a builder. He used much of the profits he made from the Congo Free State to fund massive building projects across his kingdom. Some of the more iconic structures include the Basilica of the Sacred Heart, Hippodrome Wellington Racetrack, and, ironically, the Royal Museum for Central Africa. After the Belgian Parliament forced Leopold to sell the Congo Free State, instead of owning up to his many crimes, he began destroying evidence. Allegedly, he said to one aide, "They have no right to know what I did there." Not all of Leopold II's bloody profits from the Congo went to the Belgian people in the form of lavish new buildings. The builder king also splurged on himself. He purchased several private properties, expanded the royal castle of Laeken, and built resplendent personal gardens. His marriage to Henriette ended up not being what he'd hoped for. Even though the couple managed to produce 4 children, Leopold lost his heir. His only son, Prince Leopold, fell into a pond at the age of 9 and contracted pneumonia, a sickness from which he would never recover. After losing his son, Leopold fell into a deep sorrow, and his marriage suffered the consequences. He tried in vain to conceive another son and heir, but only managed to produce another daughter. Heartbroken and disappointed, Leopold and Henriette separated. In 1902, the same year that Heart of Darkness came out, Henriette died. After leaving her memorial service, an Italian anarchist fired 3 shots at Leopold's carriage, all of which missed. Despite his horrible reputation, the Belgian people rejoiced that he had survived. Later that day, while attending the theatre, the audience gave him a raucous round of applause. Even though Leopold's reputation on the international stage had taken a severe hit, he still commanded enough respect to hear from foreign dignitaries. Even the Pope sent him a letter in solidarity. Turns out Leopold was about as good a husband to Marie Henriette as he was a king to the Congolese people. Throughout his marriage, he carried on numerous affairs, but none kept his attention quite like the 16-year-old working girl, Caroline Lacroix. At 65 years old, 3 years before his wife died, Leopold struck up the affair that would ruin what was left of his reputation. His decade-long relationship with Lacroix scandalised the Belgian people and caused even more outrage than the revelation of his atrocities in the Congo. The lovesick king gave her extravagant gifts, piles of money, entire estates, and the title of Baroness Vaughan. Leopold managed to produce 2 illegitimate sons with Lacroix, both of whom he granted honorary titles. His second son was born with a severely deformed hand. The newspapers in Belgium called it vengeance from on high. Leopold wanted to ensure that all of his many estates, castles, and heritage buildings stayed within his family. However, as he had no heir, he devised a plan. He created the Royal Trust, ensuring that his assets would go to Belgium after he passed on. Of course, he included a clause that allowed his family to use the properties at their leisure. His final act as King of Belgium only cemented his place as a villainous character. In a secret clandestine ceremony just 5 days before his death, Leopold did the unthinkable. He married his longtime mistress. Fortunately, when the marriage came to light, the Belgian parliament invalidated it. Leopold II never truly paid the price for the horrific things he did in the Congo, and no amount of grand edifices in Belgium could bury his sins. After his death, he bequeathed a fortune in Congo securities to his mistress, Lacroix. His daughters from his first marriage tried in vain to get the money back, but in the end, Lacroix made off with Leopold II's blood-soaked fortune. Thanks for watching History Exposé. If you love uncovering the best stories in history,
keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people on joynetradio.com.
Welcome back to Black Facts, and you're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. I hope you enjoyed that Black Fact. I'm a big history person, as many of you all know. I love a lot of history, and I need to turn it off so it won't be bleeding. Tell you what, let's do this again. Welcome back to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. We've got to take a quick break, but I hope you enjoyed that Black Fact. I just needed to say something about King Leopold, because, you know, last week we compared Donald Trump to Andrew Jackson, and there's a list of presidents out there, and I'm going to pull that up as well. And Donald Trump is last on the list of the worst presidents in the history of America. And of course, you know, he was a fan of Andrew Jackson. And although he hasn't committed genocide, if he could, I think he would. I'm just going to be honest with you. The man is already trying to figure out a way to deport Americans to foreign prisons. This ain't no joke, folks. Anyway, let's take our break. We'll be back in a moment. We want to, let's see, we'll stay with the Donald Trump stuff for a moment. And when I come back, I do want to jump on this Conway, Arkansas thing. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Hi, I'm David W. Coleman, host of Black Focus Radio and the weekly sports magazine. We here at joynetradio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support you've given us. Our goal is to keep you inspired and informed daily with quality programming from gospel music, news, talk, and sports. Log on to joynetradio.com for the program lineup, and while there, be sure to make a donation. Then download our app and carry us anywhere in the world. Please continue to spread the word about joynetradio.com. And if you are an entrepreneur or have an upcoming event or you'd like to start a show, let the professional writers and producers here at joynetradio.com help you get the word out. Call me at 615-554-0568 for more details. In the meantime, stay informed and inspired daily right here on joynetradio.com.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. Don't forget to go out to YouTube, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe as we march to 1,000 viewers. And if you got some friends, be sure to share it and tell them to subscribe as well. A lot of stuff to talk about today. I'm going to go back to my hometown area. I didn't grow up in Conway, Arkansas, but I grew up in Little Rock. It's about 30 miles outside of Conway. It's about 30 miles outside of Little Rock. And something happened last week that disturbed me. And since we're talking about guns, let's just talk about guns. Okay? So apparently in Conway, Arkansas, and if you all haven't seen this news, and as I said earlier, I now live in the DMV area, but a lot of people send me a lot of information about what's going on. And by the way, this was national news, so I'm sure you heard about it. Apparently at some park last weekend, there was a party and there were a lot of young people there, black people there, okay? And let's put it this way. 2 people were killed and others were wounded because of gunplay. So the frustrating thing to me is that I will be totally honest with you. If there's an issue, if I go somewhere and there's a lot of young people, whether they're black or white, I leave. In fact, I don't go places like that anyway. If I know young people are going to be there, I don't want to be around them because they're rude, they are obnoxious, they have no respect for adults, they have no respect for authority, and most likely they have weapons. Okay, so it's one of those things. I try not to put myself in those types of situations. I just don't. All right. So at this picnic, as I said, 2 people were killed. I saw a picture of a beautiful young lady who was killed, and there were others who were in the hospital, and it was just horrific. But here's what bothered me. Okay. Here's what bothered me about it all. And I got to find this thing because there were video that was released, and prior to the shooting, apparently under some pavilion at this park, these people were there with automatic weapons. And they were dancing, with the weapons up in there like they were, like they were in a war, like they were terrorists or something. Like they had just won a battle. And all of the young people, a lot of these young people were crowded around these people as they were dancing with these weapons. Unfortunately, soon afterwards, gunfire rang out and, of course, tragedy ensued, and the rest is history. Okay? Now, here's why I'm bringing this up. Because at some point, we as black people have got to get over this love of violence and thinking that, hey, we can go out and do anything. And look, part of the problem is the law in Arkansas, just like in Texas. It's an open carry state. You don't have to have a license. You can walk around with your weapons if you so please, and police can't do anything. They can't do anything. And I'm going to be totally honest. I'm appalled. Okay? I am appalled because we are letting this happen in our communities with nothing being done. I'm looking for some sound that I put together. And the question I have is, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because it should not be happening. It shouldn't be happening. And here's the other thing. And I keep thinking back to the gang situation that's in Little Rock now and across a lot of cities across this country. You see, here's what you all got to understand here. Is if you let lawlessness rule, then it's going to rule you. See 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. So apparently the gangs people think it's cool to be with gangs now. Oh, they down. Oh, they this and they that. No, they're not. I'm sorry. They're not. They do nothing but cause pain and destruction. Now you might say, well, Dave, how you know? You ain't never been in a gang? Damn right I haven't. But I tell you what, I have a brother who was the precursor to banging in the hood. I saw the pain, the degradation that he brought my mom and my family and others around him. So yeah, I'm a little familiar with it. Okay? And no, you can't snitch. Snitches get stitches and all this other stuff. Oh, really? See, that's what they want you to do. See, this is what Donald Trump is doing right now. Is that he's got people so scared. He's got people so scared. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. That people in Congress will not even vote against him. That's what Senator Lisa Murkowski said last week. I posted it on my wall and I asked the question. I said, well, wait a minute. If you're scared of Donald Trump, why are you there? He's nothing but a thug. He's nothing but a gang leader. That's what is happening in our communities across this country. Is that we've got these gang leaders, these thugs that are doing nothing more than profiting off of you. Killing our children. We're accepting it. We're allowing other people. We're allowing our own people to be our own demise. Aren't we? We're allowing black musicians, comedians, entertainers as a whole to be our own demise. It gets so bad that when you start imitating your white counterparts, then brothers and sisters, you know better than they are. I'm just going to be honest with you, man. That's why they don't want you to learn history. That's why they don't want you to know about all those Lake Seneca and Lake Lanier and all those lakes that was covered up. They don't want you to know about the Devil's Graveyard. Or I should say the Devil's Punch Bowl. They don't want you to know about none of that. This is why Donald Trump is going after the colleges and universities. They don't want you teaching history and culture. This is why they don't teach it in schools anymore. This is why they're trying to get they call it woke agenda. Oh, really? what's happening is people are waking up. And as I've said over and over again, the best thing that could have ever happened to black people was the internet. You can't hide it anymore. You just simply can't. But I want to play this piece real fast about black celebrities, because they're part of the problem. Because when you listen to some of this music, now look, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a First Amendment advocate. I've spent the last 30 years in the radio business, so you know I'm about the First Amendment. You know I'm about fact. But see, there's something that we need to understand here about what's really going on within our community, and why we, of all the millionaires that we have, why we cannot get any of them to help when it really makes a difference. I shouldn't say any of them, because some of them are doing a great job. But think about all the millionaires that we have in our communities right now. All you got to do is start with athletes. All you got to do is start with artists, record artists. Why is it that we don't have a black Wall Street? Why is it that we don't have black communities? Why is it that I can't go? Why haven't they set up a conglomerate of black loners that I can go and say, hey, look, I have a small business. Can you help me out with a loan? I'll give you X amount of dollars or X amount of equity in my business if you will simply help fund my business. Why don't we have that? Why don't we have a black Shark Tank? I think I have an answer, and I'm going to try to give it to you here. So let's listen to this, because I've been saying this a lot. Rappers have done nothing, and Malcolm Jamal Warner said this as well. Murder and mayhem. That's all they talk about. And misogyny. Let's listen. Let's see if we can get some of this.
Why the black celebrity can't liberate their people. An unwritten truth. They give them millions, not for freedom, but for control. Black celebrities aren't leaders. They're leashed. Every dollar they earn tightens the chain. The white elite doesn't invest in talent. They invest in silence. Your image, owned. Your name, trademarked. Your voice, censored.
You signed the NDA. You cashed the check. Now you're a brand, not a person. And just when you think you made it, you hit the next wall, the black gatekeepers, the black elite. Since the 1960s, we've had more black celebrities than ever before. But ask yourself, where are the black banks, black hospitals, black grocery chains? With billions in net worth, why can't they build for their own people?
Because they're not allowed to. It breaks the code. Thou shalt not use our money to liberate your people. Endorsements, deals, foundations. They look like progress, but they're fences. You don't own the stadium. You don't own the mic. You don't own your freedom. You were never supposed to be free. You were supposed to be famous.
The black celebrity is a tool of white supremacy. Packaged in Prada, they entertain the masses, while the masses remain enslaved. And that's the unwritten truth. Fame is not freedom. It's the prettiest cage ever built.
Wow. That's some deep stuff right there. Now, you're probably asking, what does that have to do with the shooting in Conway and across the country in black neighborhoods? Listen to the music. Remember, Malcolm Jamal Warner said all rap music is murder, mayhem, and misogyny. Murder, mayhem, and misogyny. I'm sorry. We've got to start addressing this. Now, some of you all might want to call me a coon. Some of you all might want to call me a Sambo. But here's the difference. I'm concerned about my community, and I know that if we want to ever excel and rise above what is going on and right now as in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, then we've got to start turning inwards to ourselves to save ourselves. Because see, there is a plan going on right now. I'm not talking about Project 2025. I'm talking about white supremacy. Okay? And it's going on. It is alive and well. We see it every day. And as I said earlier, Donald Trump is trying to figure out a way to deport Americans. Why is he trying to deport Americans? He's not talking about the white ones. He's talking about the black ones. He's talking about people that look like you and I. That's what he wants to do. If he could get around it, he would. No due process. This whole thing that is going on right now with this El Salvadoran man is about due process. It has nothing to do with him being in a gang. But he don't even believe in the rule of law. That's lawlessness. That's what is happening in our community. And we've accepted it. And it is being proffered right to us by entertainers. Malcolm X once said, as I paraphrase this, that when you look at the white community, the people that represent them are doctors, are lawyers, are philosophers. When you look at the black community, they're entertainers. Hello? They've been put there. Think about this. When black people started to go on the strike, who did Target reach out to? Steve Harvey. Hello? Let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on JoinedRadio.com.
Listen. Did you miss Dr. Ernest Gill from UT San Antonio?
When you're making $455 million off these student athletes and all you can come up with is $5,000, John Calipari makes $8 million a year and his players are going to get $5,000 a year. The majority of these teams were white men and white males and females. Would this be happening? And I would say no, because their families wouldn't let it happen. But we're letting our kids get pimped.
Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoinedRadio.com.
All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you'd like to join the show, we were talking a little bit last hour, or I should say last segment, about the situation that went on in Conway, Arkansas, which was just an abomination. It just really was. And, you know, there is a list or something that they're calling where you have to be careful in Little Rock now. And there are a lot of cities like this. And how do we get to this point where we are afraid of our own children? How do we get to this point? You know, and here's the sad thing about it. These same violent young people, these young black males, look, you can get mad at me all you want. Y'all know I'm speaking truth. Some of these same young black males won't raise a hand to the Ku Klux Klan. They won't raise a hand to the KKK. You see, they won't do anything against the people that are oppressing them. Here's the sad thing about it. They don't even understand that the president of the United States right now is trying to get around due process. Some of them don't even know what due process is. Okay? So many of them have probably had some time, not necessarily in jail, but have had relatives that have been in jail. I'm going to be honest. I've had relatives that have been in jail. I had 2 relatives to die in prison. But some of these same young people don't even understand due process. And they don't realize that the president of the United States, this little man, is trying to get around due process so that he can ship y'all's asses off to another country. Y'all not even paying attention to the news, are you? And if you're listening to the news, you don't even know what's going on. You see, they're not going to ship white folks off to another country. They're trying, look what they're doing. They are getting black folks, people of color, arresting them and deporting them. Right now, there's a man that is in an El Salvadoran prison who was an American citizen that lived right here in Maryland that they shipped off without due process, and all of the other 200 people that were on that plane, and have said that, hey, they're not going to bring them back. But you all are too busy shooting up your own picnics, killing your own people. That young lady, one of the young women that were killed was 17 years old. And the bad thing about it, she went because it was going to be crunk. And then y'all film it and put it on Facebook and get hits, and y'all think it's cool. Not understanding that it's to the point now where we can't go anywhere and enjoy ourselves without gunplay being at present. That's sad. That's sad. And that really is an indictment on our own communities. That says that we're not raising our children. We know that fathers are not in the homes, at least the way they should be, because the courts and, let's say, some mothers have ran them off. This is a sad situation. So while you all are playing your little petty gun games, white people are putting together plans to ship your asses out of this country, to take away your rights. Yeah, they are. And nobody is talking to you about it, I know. No one is really, because number one, you don't want to listen. You're rude. You're obnoxious. You think you know everything, but you don't know your butt from a hole in the ground. I'm just being real with you, and you all can get mad all you want. But see, I'm tired. One of the other things that I want to do is I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna go ahead and mention it right now. I'm gonna start a campaign to get rid of the N-word. Now, why am I doing that? Because see, you have to speak your success into existence. Okay? If the mind can conceive it and the heart believes it, then you can achieve it. So it starts with the mind. So if you believe in yourself, then you will begin to do things that affirm who you are as an individual, as a person. And you will do positive things to move that mantra forward. But if you think you grew up in the ghetto, ain't gonna ever be nothing but a ghetto. My mom had a baby at 16, I'm gonna have a baby at 16. My daddy didn't take care of me, I ain't gonna take care of mine. See, all of that can be changed. Let me just quickly tell you. Because see, today I met a gentleman who has spent 8 years in prison. And we're going to get him on the show, so you want to know that I'm not making things up. I met a gentleman who has spent 8 years in prison. He now owns his own electrical company. He has over $1.5 million contract. Hello? Did y'all hear me? Y'all understand that, right? And as I talked to him, he said it was just a matter of a change of his mindset. Okay? Just me personally. I like many of you, I grew up without a father. At 10 years old, I decided that, hey, my children are going to know who their father is. I'm going to fight, scratch, and claw to make sure that they know who their father is. At one point, I had to fight, scratch, and claw. Made a lot of enemies. But guess what? My children know who their father is. And the reason I tell you that, because it's about a mindset. It's about deciding that, hey, just like you say, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to do whatever I can to be rich. Whether it doesn't matter if I kill somebody. It doesn't matter if I rob somebody. That same mentality can be changed to a positive if you simply decide to do so. Just because you're from the hood, you don't need to be of the hood. In other words, you can leave that hood, not just physically, but mentally. It's easy. You have to decide. And then what's bad about it, then you can come back to the hood and make it better than what it was before you left. That thing in Conway bothered me, man. It should bother you. It should bother each and every one of you. And I advise you, if the videos are out there, go out and look at that part where the guys, and it's not just guys, it's a whole group. And when I say group, just based on the video I saw, it was packed. And in the middle of all of them, they're dancing with their guns. What have we come to here? Are we serious? I'm confused here. What, am I that old now that I've lost touch with reality and what's going on with our black children? I hope not, because see, there are a lot of black kids out there who are doing some great stuff. They're going to be the future. Are y'all going to be mad at them? You know, it's funny because maybe this is why many of those people in that community voted for Donald Trump, because they see Donald Trump, they're thugs, and they see Donald Trump as a thug because that's what he is. So y'all got a thugging president that glamorizes your lifestyle in the White House, but the thing is that, see, he's not going to be deported. By the way, has anybody come out and said who did the shooting at that Conway picnic? Anyone? No. Oh, snitches get stitches. Is that what I understand? Well, guess what? This is going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen. You see, when they end up controlling you, they control your neighborhood. I'm reminded, and we got to take a top of the hour break, but I'm reminded of The Last Equalizer. And there's a scene in there where the gangsters in this Italian town had come and they were getting ready to kill Denzel. But see, they wanted to keep it undercover. So they're in the town square, and Denzel comes out and he puts his weapons down, and the head gangster gets ready to shoot Denzel, and then all of a sudden all the townspeople come around and they are witnesses. So they didn't shoot Denzel. Mr. McCall was his character. They didn't shoot him because the gangsters didn't want any witnesses. So my point is that, see, thugs, they fear your eyes, your ears, and your mouth. Hello? That's why Donald Trump is firing all those people. And that's why those gangsters in your neighborhood don't want you to say anything. And as long as you don't say anything, they can run your neighborhood and you can't do a damn thing about it because they've taken your freedom. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about this Karmelo Anthony thing and do some side stuff with this because I found this interesting as we move forward. It's called Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Listen! Did you miss Dr. Ernest Gill from UT San Antonio?
When you're making $455 million off these student athletes, and all you can come up with is $5,000, John Calipari makes $8 million a year, and his players are going to get $5,000 a year. The majority of these teams were white men and white males and females. Would this be happening? And I would say no, because their families wouldn't let it happen. But we're letting our kids get pimped.
Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on joynetradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Welcome back to the second hour of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you'd like to join the show, don't forget to support our sponsors, joinetradio.com and ribrub.com, RIBBRUBB.com. Go out to the website, order some product. Would really appreciate it. By the way, you'll learn how to bake it, grill it, and smoke it. Oh yeah. Okay. So talking about Karmelo Anthony, of course, you've been following this story. It's been all over the internet. Everybody has their opinions. Personally, I have not tried to make an opinion on the case itself. I've been dancing around their edges because I simply don't know the facts. Now, there are people out there who went out and pulled down the police report. That's wonderful, and you think that's great reporting and all that. That's fine if you want to do it, but until we get into a court of law, we don't really know what the facts are. We know that the facts are nefarious. We know that there were two white boys that approached a black boy, and the black boy defended himself, or at least he felt threatened. That's why he ended up stabbing the other guy. Now, there's been stories about it was a knife. I've heard stories that it wasn't a knife, but a cleat sharpener. Those of you who don't know what that is, if you've ever ran track and field, they run in spikes to grip the track, and sometimes those spikes get dull, and you can sharpen them with a particular tool. And some people say it was a cleat sharpener. I don't know one way or the other. We do know that one of the young men was killed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And we know that Karmelo Anthony was, he said that he felt threatened. Okay? Now, there are a couple of aspects to this. We know that Karmelo Anthony didn't just stab the guy. Something happened before then. Did this guy put his hands on Karmelo Anthony? That's the big question. Did they put his hands on Karmelo Anthony? I'd like to know. Austin Metcalf is the kid's name. They were twin brothers. They were over 200 pounds. You put them together, that's over 400 pounds against Karmelo Anthony. He felt threatened. At least that's what seems to be the story. Okay? We don't really know what happened. A lot of white people are upset because they think he should still be in jail. Really? I'm going to show you your hypocrisy here in just a second. Y'all hold your horses. They still think he should be in jail. He isn't. He's home. His mom and dad had a news conference and they spoke. I'm not sure I don't know if they were trying to elicit sympathy or whatever the case may be. I know last week, remember, we talked about GoFundMe and how GoFundMe killed his account for fundraising, which I thought was hypocritical because they allow Kyle Rittenhouse and all these other people to raise money for their defense, Derek Chauvin, but they killed Karmelo Anthony's. That should say something about GoFundMe. But there's another fundraising site that's out there called Give, Send, Go. And this past Thursday, the co-CEO, her name is Heather Wilson, she defended the company by likening it to the site how it had handled similar incidents. Or similar campaigns for individuals who were accused, in her words, of violent crimes. I quote, We're now seeing similar outrage from the right as we once did from the left when we allowed campaigns for, listen, Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny. In both of those cases, we upheld the principle that someone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Shouldn't that be the same standard to apply here as well? Hello? A few key things to consider. In each of these high-profile cases, someone tragically lost their lives. In each case, there was no mystery around who was involved in the incident. Wilson said that in those cases, people gave not necessarily because they condoned the actions of the person they were raising money for, but because they wanted to support due process and ensure a fair trial. But they wanted to support due process and ensure a fair trial. Ooh. The article goes on to say, Wilson is right that coCEO operates differently from GoFundMe, which prohibits fundraisers for the legal defense of violent crimes. GoFundMe removed pages from Anthony, Rittenhouse, and Penny. coCEO allowed all three to stay active. I ain't got no problem with that. Last I checked, I thought I saw something where he had raised over $300,000. People had donated $300,000. You see, the funny thing about this is white people want to do everything they can to support one another when they run afoul of the law. You heard her mention Kyle Rittenhouse. You heard her mention Daniel Penny. Do y'all remember Daniel Penny? Do y'all remember him? Oh, I know y'all remember Daniel Penny, right? Well, let me just remind you who Daniel Penny was. Daniel Penny was the white boy, ex-military, who was on the subway in New York City. And a homeless guy who acted like Michael Jackson. His name was Jordan Neely. Apparently he had something mentally wrong with him, and he was on the subway screaming at people, and Daniel Penny walked up behind him and choked him out. When I say choked him out, he killed him. He choked him to death right in front of everybody. Daniel Penny hadn't touched anyone. Daniel Penny had mental issues, as many people had testified. I mean, not Daniel Penny, but Jordan Neely. Many people had testified he had mental issues. Well, let me ask you, what happened to Daniel Penny? Well, you heard us say that he raised money on coCEO, whatever that site is. coCEO. All right. The trial, Penny was initially charged with second-degree manslaughter and criminal negligent homicide. The jury deadlocked on the manslaughter charge, and the judge dismissed it after further deliberations. The jury unanimously found Penny not guilty of negligent homicide. Hello? Hello? Oh, by the way, Daniel Penny was white. Jordan Neely was black. We all know the story of Trayvon Martin. By the way, a couple of weeks ago, he would have been 28 years old, but his life was surreptitiously in because of George Zimmerman. He was armed with an Arizona tea and Skittles. Hello? By the way, y'all made George Zimmerman a hero. White supremacists invited him to speak at their events and paid him. Oh, by the way, Trayvon Martin was black. George Zimmerman was white. Oh, what about Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy who traveled across state lines with an AK-47 that was given to him by his mama, and he shot and killed 2 people? Claimed self-defense. He was in fear of his life. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And guess what? White supremacists and the Faux News Network had him on, talking to him, paying him money, everything else. Now look, I am not condoning anyone to be violent. This is a tragedy, what happened with Karmelo Anthony. It's a tragedy. But the bottom line is this, is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I've said over and over again, that black people are tired, man. And it seems to me that white people feel like they're even more empowered now that Donald Trump is in the White House and he's making obvious that he's a racist. Let me ask you a question. If Donald Trump isn't a racist, why hasn't he come out and said, hey, look, folks, it's getting a little hot out here, man. There's a lot of things going on, and we need to tap down some of this racial innuendo. In fact, instead of him doing that, he's done nothing but fan the flames. And continues to fan the flames. So I'm asking my white counterparts here. I'm asking you black folks that go to white churches. Because see, a lot of these people were mad because this company, Go Send Go, refused to knock down or push down or take down, I should say, the GoFundMe. And she made it very clear. Hey, we've had other killers on here. We let y'all raise money. Oh, why y'all don't want the black man to make money? Because that was subtly what she was saying. Oh, you don't think that's what she was saying? Let me go back and go back to the article here. Okay. Here's what they said. Here's what she said. This is a co-CEO, Heather Wilson. She said that in those cases being George Zimmerman and the other white guys, Daniel Penny, Kyle Rittenhouse, she said in those cases, people gave not necessarily because they condoned the actions of the persons that they were raising money for, but because they wanted to support due process and ensure a fair trial. Why is it that white people don't want to have a fair trial for Karmelo Anthony? Well, are you afraid that the truth is going to come out? She also said, we are now seeing the outrage from the right that we once did from the left when we allowed campaigns for Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny. In both of those cases, we upheld the principle that someone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Shouldn't that same standard apply here as well? Shouldn't that same standard apply to Karmelo Anthony just as it did to Daniel Penny, George Zimmerman, and Kyle Rittenhouse? Look, and look, these are not the only cases where white people have killed black people. You remember the old white man who killed the black guy, the black kid who accidentally knocked on his door because he had been sent by his mama to pick up his little brother, and he went to the wrong house and he knocked on the door and the 80-year-old white man shot him through the door? This man never served one iota of time in prison. He ultimately died before he could even go to trial. Do y'all not remember that? So now right-wingers are upset because let me ask you a question. If it would have been a white guy killing another white guy, would you be as upset? Hell no, you wouldn't, because you're a bigot and a racist. What you should be upset about is you have a president in the White House who is fomenting racism, bigotry, white supremacy. You have a Secretary of Defense who has white supremacy tattoos on his body. Hello? Don't care if you're mad at me. Because, I'll be 64 soon. I don't have much time left. So you want to come and ship me off to another country? Look, just send me to Ghana. Or, I'll tell you what, send me to Guyana. That's where my wife is from. But I'm going to speak my mind here today. And I'm going to speak my mind as long as God gives me breath as I've always done on Black Focus Radio. We pull no punches. We're going to call it like we see it. And what we're seeing right now is the remanifestation of white supremacists. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next segment. But I think it's important for us to understand what is going on right now. Don't care if you're mad. Look, this was a tragedy. It was a tragedy, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But maybe, I'm just saying that you probably shouldn't have came up bullying him. You got FAFO'd. FAFO. You see, because this kid was doing nothing more than trying to stay dry because of the rain. And you decided, Austin Metcalf, decided that you wanted to be Billy Badass and go and force this guy from under your tent. As I've told you a couple of weeks ago, look, if you ever go to a track meet, you will see tents around. When it opens up, you run to the nearest tent if it starts raining. No one tries to force you away. There's usually always a manager that's in the tent. If you're talking about, they try to make the argument, oh, well, there were valuables under the tent. Oh, were you suggesting that Karmelo Anthony was there to steal your valuables? Is that what you're saying? Now, I will tell you that does go on, but you know what we did to combat that? Is that there was always a manager in the tent. There was always someone in the tent. And unfortunately, some of the stuff got stolen by some of your own teammates. Hello? But are you suggesting that, you were scared because Karmelo Anthony was going to steal something from some of your valuables, and so it was incumbent upon Austin Metcalf to be the arbiter of who's under the tent and who isn't? He and his brother, his twin brother, who both were over 200 pounds? Is that what we understand? And we want to give all the sympathy to their family? Look, both of these families have been tragically rocked. And this young man is going to pay one way or the other. His life has been ruined. But see, here's a problem you should have. See, Texas has this law. It's called Stand Your Ground. And most Stand Your Ground states, they say you have a duty to retreat. And you have to use force that is equal to the force that is being put towards you. In Texas, that don't apply. If you are standing your ground, you can use any force that you deem necessary to protect yourself if you are under threat. Now, I'm not an attorney, but that's how it's been relayed to me. And that's how it's been relayed to many others who are following this case. So if you're really upset, right-wingers, then you should be mad at Texas. Because it is Texas who has brought this law. And because a black man availed himself of that law, now you want him to suffer the consequences, the same consequences that you wouldn't want a white boy to suffer? And by the way, many of you who are outside the state of Texas who don't know this law, maybe you need to shut the hell up, because that's really what it's going to boil down to. And I got a feeling, and I wasn't in court, but I think that's probably why they had to release this brother on bond. Because he was only following the law as Texas legislators have put forward. We'll see. But you better be careful here. You better be careful, because, see, we've seen over and over and over again in our communities that the law, where white people are concerned, doesn't apply to black people. Remember the lady, was it in Kansas City? Was it Betty Shelby? Can't believe I remember that name. Who killed the black guy by accidentally shooting him with the wrong gun and they gave her a promotion? Whatever happened to those state troopers in Louisiana who beat the hell out of Brother Green? You see, we can give you prima facie evidence after evidence of white people ganging up on black people or a black person, one, and killing them. And those same white people get acquitted. They don't spend one day in jail. Hello? We can give you case after case after case. Black person wasn't doing a damn thing except being black. Remember the brother in Colorado? Was it Colorado? The young brother who was autistic? Who ended up dying because he didn't want to stop and talk to the police because he was walking home from work in the snow and the police ended up attacking him, calling the ambulance and shooting him up with ketamine, and he ends up dying. Y'all remember that? I can give you case after case. Hello? Can you give me a case, white folks? Can you give me one where a black person just arbitrarily shot and killed a white person and that black person didn't go to jail? Can you give me one case? Is there anyone out there? Can I get one? Can I get one? Can I get one case? One case, one case, one case. You see, black people are tired of this, folks. There are two systems of justice. And black people can't get justice whether you're the perpetrator or you're the victim. Black people are tired. Black people don't want no more of this. Again, I'm not condoning what happened in that case between Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony. What I'm simply saying is black people are tired. And your hypocrisy smells like the butt of a damn elephant. I almost said something. We're tired. Let's take a break because I'm tired. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at RearBrub.com. Holman's Dynamic Pepper Juice is lighting fires around the country. It's the new product from RearBrub.com. Use it on meats and vegetables. Add it to your gumbos and greens for an extra punch. Made with all natural ingredients, Coleman's Dynamic Pepper Juice will enhance the flavors of your favorite recipes. Order today on RearBrub.com. And while there, be sure to check out some of our other great products. It's developed with love and care using the best all-natural ingredients with no GMOs or preservatives. From snacks to seasonings, Coleman's Dynamic Products has something for everyone. Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at RearBrub.com.
Hey, beautiful. You look gorgeous. Are you doing something different? There's a healthy glow about you.
Thanks. I'm just my natural self.
Come on. What's your secret?
Okay. Since I found SkinTentional.com, I've been getting a lot of those comments.
SkinTentional.com?
Yes. SkinTentional.com is handcrafted, luxurious natural baths and body care products. Crafted for those with a designer's taste for high-quality skincare products but won't break your bank. From body butter to oils and soaps, SkinTentional has something for everyone, including the man in your life. Get your man some beard balm and oils. And yes, they offer body butters and soap for him as well, without making him smell like flowers. Go to SkinTentional.com and check out their amazing products. They believe self-care should be an intentional and joyous experience for all. SkinTentional.com.
Pigskin, check. Round ball, check. Hard ball, check. Hockey puck, check. Burning rubber, check. We got it all on the weekly sports page with David Coleman. What else do you need? Did I say food? Can't have sports without food. What kind of show is this again?
A sports show.
Oh, okay. Pass me those rib nuts.
Yeah, we do have it all and a whole lot more with me, Dynamic David Coleman, on the Weekly Sports Magazine.
All right, welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube as we march to 1,000 subscribers. And more importantly, support our sponsors, joinnetradio.com and ribrub.com, RIBBRUBB.com. It's the best dry marinade for baking, grilling, and smoking your meats. Now, since we're talking about guns, there's been another shooting at a school. This time it was Florida State University. For the last I checked, there were 3 people that were killed, others injured. The perpetrator was, yeah, you know, don't you? Go ahead, say it. The perpetrator was white. Now, I find it interesting that the right wing, before we realized or the news came out about this guy, the right wing was trying to blame the Democrats, was trying to blame Joe Biden. I mean, to even try to repeat some of the stupidity that they were saying is not even worth it. But then the news comes out. Because, see, I knew before the news came out that he was white. And then pictures start surfacing on Facebook. In fact, here's what white media did. The faux news got a picture of another guy who was walking around. He was in a rally that was anti-guns, anti-Trump, and they were saying the guy who did it was anti-Trump. But then when you looked at the picture that they had posted was not the guy who actually did the shooting at Florida State. The guy who was actually in the picture was a guy who was anti-Trump, but he didn't do the shooting. Phoenix Eichner is the person who did the shooting, and Phoenix Eichner is a white supremacist. Hello? Yes, sir. Mr. Eichner is a white. You said, now, Dave, how you know? Well, let's. It's been coming out now that he was at Tuscaloosa State College, something like that. They had some focus groups or some campus groups, and he joined this one group. And the gentleman who was part of that group was on the news last night talking about how they accepted anybody, race, creed, color. It didn't matter to them. They all had their own opinion, but his opinion, Mr. Eichner's opinion, was pure white supremacist. Okay? Pure white supremacist. So it was so bad that they asked him not to come back. Hello? They asked him not to come back. Ain't that something? How could that be? And then, of course, there were other pictures of Mr. Eichner. Okay? And these pictures, had a Make America Great hat. So this was a Trump supporter. His mom even says she had been concerned for him prior to the mass shootings. She had been concerned for him prior to them. She said, I have been concerned for him in the past, but I would never have thought that he would do what he did. Hello? This was a white supremacist. It's ironic that his name was Gunner. His real name was Gunner. That's just so ironic. Now, it's spelled with an AR, not an ER. But he goes to Florida State and he opens up on the victims, these people. There's nothing redeeming about this guy. But white supremacists are already trying to defend him. Already. They're already trying to defend him. Look, here's USA Today. Let me pull this article up. Suspect Florida shooter has history of espousing radical ideas. What did he say? Has a history. Okay? He opened fire at 11:50 a.m., striking multiple people and sending students fleeing all over the campus. Okay? One of his classmates said, I got into arguments with him in class over how gross the things he said were. A politics student said about Eichner, who took a class with him. In 2023, the two took a course in federal politics where they regularly clashed. I remember thinking this man should not have access to firearms, said the student, but what are we supposed to do? Red flag laws allow people concerned over someone in crisis to petition the court to remove the firearms. Eichner made it clear to the class that he had guns at Tallahassee State College. Few students, if any, were close to Eichner, although he spoke with the professor regularly after class. It's so sad and so shocking, Luzetta said. Then to see that it was him, I'm not surprised. He had a Nazi and Hitler fascination. Okay, screenshots of Eichner's online history captured by the Anti-Definition League and shared with USA Today on Friday showed the gunman was an active gamer who had a troubling fascination with Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. A profile photo for an online gaming account linked to Eichner shows a drawing of Hitler recognizable by the mustache with the word 9 in a thought bubble next to the infamous dictator. From another account, Eichner used the name Schutzstaffel, the name for the infamous SS paramilitary group that started out as Hitler's personal bodyguard, grew to death squads, and ran the concentration camps that killed millions of Jews. Hello? Y'all defending him? Look, are y'all gonna do a GoFundMe? I'm just curious because see, there are a lot of white supremacists. Look, one thing I want to do, let me do this real fast because I'm curious, and I meant to do this before the show, but I want to just look up the victims. Have they released the names and the pictures? Because I'm curious. I'm really curious. Have they? Because did he kill any? I don't see. Tura Chuba was working, and they don't show any pictures. They don't show any pictures. See, the problem we have is with these guns, folks. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm a gun carrying person myself. I'm licensed to carry. I like my 9. But as I was going through this story, guess what? I forgot about this story. Student who shot four at a Dallas high school was targeting a specific student. The problem are guns. And look, when you ask that idiot in chief in the office, what did you think about it? He said, well, I'm for the Second Amendment. No, you're for the Second Amendment, but you're not for life. Why does this keep going on at our schools? And then you got these idiots that, well, if there was someone there with the gun, it would have stopped it. Well, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. If I go in to shoot and kill someone, I can look with my 9mm alone. It's a automatic weapon. I can empty the clip of 12 bullets in less than 10 seconds. So if every one of those bullets find a person, I can literally kill 12 people in 10 seconds before the good guy with the gun can shoot and kill me. Hello. Remember the shooting that happened in Florida where the policeman was there? There's been so many, but I remember this one clearly. The police was there. He heard the shooting, and instead of going, was it Marjorie Stoneham Douglas? Was it that one? Where instead of running to the gunshot to save these kids, he cowered. He hid behind his car and called for backup. What's this argument about a good man with a gun? See this thing about police who think they're so brave. Many of them aren't brave. They want to be brave when it's an unarmed motorist, when it's an unarmed woman. Yeah, they're brave then when it's a poor man. I saw a video the other day where the police got this guy, pulled him over, and he was crippled. And they said, get out the car. He says, man, I can't get out the car. They said, well, if you don't get out the car, we're going to remove you from the car. He said, man, it ain't that I don't want to get out. He said that I'm paralyzed, waist down. This car is a special car that I drive. They said, well, if you don't get out of the car, we're going to remove you. And they went back and forth. So they finally snatched the door open and snatched the guy out. Rolled him over on his stomach, and we know this because this is from their body cam. And they started, once they handcuffed him and they kind of walked away, they talked to each other, man, I don't think his legs really work. Hello? So then they tried to cover it up. These were their body cams. I'm simply saying is, it seems to me, with all of the stuff that is going on, that we got to do something about these guns. Because there are some people who will bully people just because they have guns and they have authority. And you got the soon-to-be defunct NRA and these gun lobbying groups that are putting millions of dollars into the coffers of these congressmen and these senators. And I wonder what's going to happen when one of their kids get killed. It's amazing that it hasn't happened. Oh, that's right, their kids go to private schools. Well, you know what? It happens at private schools too. Yes, it does. The kid at Florida State, by the way, where did he get his gun from? He got it from Mama, who was a deputy sheriff, who had been a sheriff for 17 years, didn't even secure her weapon. Look, I've been saying for years is that one of the ways you can solve this problem is increase the age to purchase a weapon to 21. Okay? That's one of the ways. To own a weapon, you should be 21. Just like, look, you got to have a license. You got to go, if you're going to purchase it, then you got to go get a license to carry course. That's one of the ways you can solve this problem. And the other thing is that these kids who are getting guns from their parents, if they go out and commit a crime, then those parents should be held liable. You say, well, they don't have any say-so on what their kid does. Well, wait a minute. Okay. I read a story the other day where this kid stole his mom's car. He ends up wrecking the car and hitting another person. You know who got arrested? Mama. This kid was not of age. This kid didn't have a license. Mama got arrested. So if you can arrest someone, a parent, for her kid stealing a car unbeknownst to her or him, then why can't you arrest a parent for not having a secured weapon, especially if that parent was a sheriff? Oh, that's right, she was white. She was probably a Trump supporter too, because she had to know her son was a Trump supporter because he was walking around the house with MAGA hats on. So you had to know. You had to know that this guy was espousing white supremacist beliefs. This is not something that he just created. This is something that he learned at home. You see, you learn racism at home. when you're sitting at the table and mama or daddy is calling your friend, your new friend, a little nigger. Excuse me. I didn't mean to use that word. We are on a campaign to get rid of that word, but sometimes you have to use that word as an example. Phoenix Eichner learned this at home with mama and daddy, okay? And they allowed it to happen. In fact, I bet if you could go and look in their house, they got Fox News and Trump stuff all over the place. I don't know that to be sure, but here's what I do know, is that children live what they learn. And if mama and daddy is at home and saying, hey, we're not going to put up with that racism crap here, guess what? That racism crap is not going to happen. Okay? Just like I was talking last hour, mama, if mama says you're not bringing no drugs in this house, guess what? You ain't bringing no drugs in this house. You're not getting in no gang. I've seen multiple videos. You can go out on social media where dad jumped on his son because his son decided he was going to get in a gang. He going to get in a gang. Dad beat that ass, and he should have. You ain't getting in no gang. I saw another black mother did the same thing to her son. She said, I done been through too much. You're not going down that path. She even threatened that before I let the streets kill you, I'll kill you. Woo. Hello? So mama and daddy knew about Mr. Eichner. This guy's been kicked out of groups because he's a white supremacist. Come on, man. Hello? He was part of some of these racist groups. What do y'all got to say, folks? I'm just curious. What y'all got to say? Look, I'm just going to say it like this, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again. At some point, black people have got to wake up. Instead of y'all fighting at picnics and shooting guns at picnics at one another, you need to do what they did in Ohio. When the white supremacists decided to march in that city, black folks said, okay, come on. We bringing our guns too. We gonna march together. Them white supremacists got the hell up out of that city. Hello? You see, peace through strength. Right now, we have no strength in our communities. But I know one thing that we need to be concerned about is what's going on with these white supremacists. Because they are emboldened now. Because they've got a white supremacist in chief who's a thug, who's a convicted felon, sitting in the White House. Boggles my mind. It just boggles my mind. At what point are we gonna say, you know what? That dog ain't gonna hunt for me. At what point do we do that? At what point do we say, we gonna defend our own? At what point do we say, we gonna spend money with our own? We gonna keep our assets in our own community? At what point? At some point, we need to decide when we gonna do that. I'm just saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. I will tell you this. That there is a silver lining. Because I think we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what we must do to come together. So y'all stick and stay. Don't go away. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. Right here on joynetradio.com.
Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at RearBrub.com. Holman's Dynamic Pepper Juice is lighting fires around the country. It's the new product from RearBrub.com. Use it on meats and vegetables. Add it to your gumbos and greens for an extra punch. Made with all natural ingredients, Coleman's Dynamic Pepper Juice will enhance the flavors of your favorite recipes. Order today on ribrub.com. And while there, be sure to check out some of our other great products. It's developed with love and care using the best all-natural ingredients with no GMOs or preservatives. From snacks to seasonings, Coleman's Dynamic Products has something for everyone. Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at ribrub.com.
Hey, beautiful. You look gorgeous. Are you doing something different? There's a healthy glow about you.
Thanks. I'm just my natural self.
Come on. What's your secret?
Okay. Since I found skintentional.com, I've been getting a lot of those comments.
Skintentional.com?
Yes. Skintentional.com is handcrafted, luxurious natural baths and body care products. Crafted for those with a designer's taste for high-quality skincare products, but won't break your bank. From body butter to oils and soaps, Skintentional has something for everyone, including the man in your life. Get your man some beard balm and oils, and yes, they offer body butters and soap for him as well, without making him smell like flowers. Go to skintentional.com and check out their amazing products. They believe self-care should be an intentional and joyous experience for all. Skintentional.com.
Pigskin, check. Round ball, check. Hard ball, check. Hockey puck, check. Burning rubber, check. We got it all on the weekly sports page with David Coleman. What else do you need? Did I say food? Can't have sports without food. What kind of show is this again?
A sports show.
Oh, okay. Pass me those rib nuts.
Yeah, we do have it all and a whole lot more with me, Dynamic David Coleman, on the weekly sports magazine.
Welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. We've gotten to the last segment of the show, and it's called What We Must Do. I give you all that information, and then I like to tie it up in a nice little bow to give you some marching orders on what we must do. Remember, we are going to start a campaign to get rid of the N-word, period. Pick a day. Let's pick a day, start a day, and then from a day, move forward to a week and maybe a month, and don't say that word again. Next show, we're gonna jump heavily into it, why it must happen, okay? But we've been talking a lot about shooting, Conway, this Florida State shooting. By the way, you know they want to give back pay to January 6th riders, right? One other quick thing I want to talk about is, you know, there's been a lot of bad weather over the last couple of weeks. Arkansas has applied for federal assistance along with some of the other southern states. North Carolina was another one, and they were denied. Oh, I know. Y'all forgot, right? FEMA don't exist the way it used to, right? You know, FEMA, that government entity that was... Y'all loved it when it was helping you, but then it's socialism when it's helping other people. Y'all know that government entity where Elon Musk and his girlfriend Donald Trump dismantled it. So you now have no FEMA that can go out to communities and give food, give blankets, give generators, try to get you to file correctly so that you can at least have some type of insurance, okay? You don't have that anymore. You don't have it anymore. So North Carolina and Arkansas recently just applied, and you know there's fires going on in North and South Carolina. They just recently applied, and the Trump administration said, nah, can't have no money. Nah. What you thinking now, Republicans? What you thinking now, red states? Also, there was another article that came out on social media where this farmer had put out a flyer for people to come and work and pick blueberries on his farm, and he was paying $11 an hour. Woo-hoo-hoo! Okay, you worked 6 days a week, and you worked, what was it? I think 12 hours. Nobody showed up. Not surprising. Also, by the way, the CEO of Target has decided that he wanted to talk to Al Sharpton. You know, Target, the same company who decided that they were going to get rid of their DEI and hiring initiatives, but more importantly, Target also cut back on having black-owned businesses in their store. Hurt a lot of black businesses. So now they want to talk to Target because Target has lost billions of dollars over the last few months because black people are not shopping at Target. Which brings me to my point of what we must do. You know, I've been talking a lot about boycotting. I'm even writing a novel to this effect. I won't go into the details of the novel, but trust me, I'm writing a novel about this. And here's the fascinating thing about it. White people are quick to boycott black businesses. As a matter of fact, the only black businesses that white people really attend or spend their money at are food joints, soul food restaurant. That's where they go. They you know, Cutting Bobby down there got he's black owned, but boy, they sure can cook some cornbread. And them hog jobs, oh man, yeah, man, and boy, I just love they barbecue. But you see them in Little Rock, the Sims barbecue. See white people there all the time. Good for that. Good for Sims that white people will come to his restaurant. In fact, when I was growing up, Sims used to be down on 32nd in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Little Rock, in the South End, as we called it. But you know what? White folks will come down there and buy his barbecue. But that's the only thing that they support are restaurants. They don't support other things. So why is it that we can allow them to boycott us, but we will not boycott them? I've told you over and over again, you want to hurt white people, you hit them in their pocketbook. You know why white people are mad at Donald Trump right now? It's because these tariffs are crashing the stock market and it's hurting their pockets. It's killing their 401ks. And then, Donald Trump still, because he don't know what the hell he's doing, but he's still, I'm going to have tariffs and I'm going to double and triple the tariffs. And then the bond market started crashing. Then it really started hurting white people. And oh, bro, look, man, you got to fix this. We ain't going out like this. He backed off on those tariffs. You see, the only thing that hurts white people is money. See, black people have already been poor. We know how to live poor. We grew up living paycheck to paycheck and eating that government cheese. You know, that cheese that never molded, and you get, that farina. They didn't call them grits. They called them farina. Y'all remember that crap? You had to stand in line to get that government cheese. Lord have mercy. What else? Oh, they give you carnation milk. I'm trying to say, because we were poor growing up. Fortunately, my mom was able to. We didn't have to do it a lot, but every now and then, mom couldn't make ends meet. We'd have to go get some beans, some farina. You throw that. That was our first sign of shrimp and grits, shrimp and farina. No, it was bologna and farina. I'm laughing, but this was serious stuff. I'm laughing because, look, you look back over your life and realize how you got over. But here's my point, is that if we really want black people to rise above, as I mentioned earlier in the show, that we've got to start shopping with one another. We've got to start building our own infrastructure. I live in the Towson area, but there are enclaves that I can go into that are specifically Hispanic, specifically Jewish, specifically Asian, and whatever else. There are particular areas of this city where you can go in and you know that it's a particular ethnic group. And by the way, those ethnic groups, when you go in the black community, they have stores in the black community. And we don't even demand that they do anything for our community. So I've been talking about this boycott for years. I still think the only way that we're going to solve the problem is that we've got to boycott their athletic departments. Blue chips down. Billions of dollars being earned by our children for white colleges who have decided that they're going to kill their DEI programs. You know, it's so funny that Ohio State and all these other schools, they kill their DEI programs, but they didn't kill their athletic programs, because in some cases, the only reason a lot of these black kids are on campus is because of their athletic departments. Football, basketball, track. That's the only reason why these kids are on campus. And those particular sports, football and basketball, earn billions of dollars for these white communities, for these white colleges. You know, right now, Howard is upset with Donald Trump because Donald Trump is about to take, $2 billion from Howard? See, white supremacists know what boycotting is all about. They know how to wrangle you into control. Remember, he went after the law firms, and the law firms who sued Fox News and got a $787 billion settlement. Was it billion or million? It was a million. $787 million settlement. Trump went after them, and those same law firms capitulated to Donald Trump, and now they've got to give Donald Trump over $1 million and pro bono work. Or is it $1 billion? I think it's $1 billion. Hello? Hurt their pocketbook. If y'all love Donald Trump so much, why can't we follow his lead on this issue and say, okay, look, all right, I see you, Mr. President. I see you and I raise you. So colleges decided that they're going to kill their DEI programs. They're going to kill their Africana Studies programs. They are not going to teach Black history and culture. And we still send our kids to those schools. I told you about the story of the University of Missouri. It works. Those black kids up there got a president fired. Are you really willing to be free? Because freedom ain't free. So here's what we must do. If we truly want to be respected, then we need to start wielding our political and financial clout. Let me start quickly because I just talked about the financial clout. Our financial clout are our children. It is built into our children. Okay? And right now, our children, for college football alone, earns billions of dollars for all of these colleges. For college basketball, billions of dollars. What would happen? Did y'all hear about the kid Nico Iliama, who decided that he wasn't going to show up to spring break for spring practice at Tennessee because he wanted $4 million, and Tennessee decided to say, see ya. What would happen if all the other kids did that? You see, you don't know the power that we have. And see, they want you, that's why they keep throwing these entertainers and these rappers at you, because they want to keep you messed up in the mind. That's why on Facebook, they used to block all those fights of black women and black men. Now they don't. They want you. And look, they got thousands and thousands of likes and views on these. They want you to be caught up in that stupidity, because if you're caught up in that stupidity, then you will not be paying attention to the things that are really affecting you, like them putting together laws that can ship your asses out of the country without due process. You'll be one of the first to say, well, how can they do this? Well, when the clarion call went out for you to come stand with me and others, you say, oh man, that guy crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. Here's what I know, is that if you want to affect them, then you have to affect their purse. That's what you've got to do. That's what we've got to do. It is imperative. It is the only thing that will stop this. We just saw it last week. When those white folks started losing money in the stock exchange, many of them were Trump supporters. Many of them say, yeah, go Trump, go. Yeah, get him. But when they started losing money in the stock exchange, all of a sudden they like, whoa, Trump, wait a minute, man. You done crossed the wrong bridge here, bro. You gonna have to fix this. What did he do? They did what we're not doing, because we're not throwing around our political clout, which quickly before we end the show today, there's supposed to be a new movement in the Democratic Party. Democrats right now, they have a favorable rating of 25% along with its followers. They lost 6 million voters prior to the last election. Let me just say this to black people, and I want to make sure that I write this down so that on our next show that we cover this, is that we don't need to be in the Democratic Party and we don't need to be in the Republican Party, okay? I'm going to write vote in blocks. That's going to be one of the subjects for the next show. Is because what we need to be doing is, you're right, Democrats haven't served us and Republicans haven't served us. So now they need to come to us with their hat in their hand and asking us, sir, what can I do to help you? And when you go to office and we decide to vote for you, then guess what? If you don't do what you're supposed to do, then guess what we're going to do? We're going to vote your ass out. This is what everybody, if you are so mad at Donald Trump, and if you are so mad at the Republican Party right now, and those who are capitulating and bow down to this tyrant, then your next move at the ballot box is to vote against everything Republican. And if the Democrats get in there and they do something similar, or they do nothing, where your next move is to what? Vote them out. I'm sorry. That's how it should be. We need to quit playing around with these people. These people are making millions and millions of dollars. Marjorie Taylor Greene knew about the stock crash. She went out and bought, and then when he removed the tariffs the day before, she bought up to $21,000 or more in stock. Made millions of dollars. This is a game that they're playing, and you all are not a part of it, and you ought to be sick and tired of it. And that's what we must do. We got to go. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as we march to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. You got to go out and subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. Okay? Don't forget, we're on every Monday. You can listen to the show Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m., but we do a fresh show every Monday. Every Monday, you got a fresh show. Okay? So please spread the word. Don't forget to support our sponsors, joinetradio.com and ribrub.com, RIBBRUBB.com. That's how you support us. So please go out and do your thing. I hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoyed doing it for you. I've got one other thing that I want to leave you with, because I saw this quote a while back and I posted it often, and I've got to give it to you one more time. This is by Cory Booker. And I got to shout out to Cory Booker for doing what you did on the Senate floor. Y'all should have been doing this a long time ago. Don't speak to me about your religion. First, show me in how you treat other people. Don't tell me how much you love your God. Show me in how much you love all of God's children. Don't preach to me your passion for your faith. Teach me through your compassion for your neighbors. In the end, I'm not as interested in what you have to tell or sell as I am in how you choose to live and give. Y'all have a great day. See you next time. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinetradio.com.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joinetradio.com.